Such a pleasure to have my friend Mark Hamill on our Strata podcast. Mark is the CEO and founder of the Naked Headhunter, a global executive search firm. He's also founded the Virtual Advisory Board, MyFractional CEO, Leadership Transition, and a few more companies where he's involved in growing reach. He's an active member of YPO and CEO, so clearly he's got a lot of time to be bored. That's what we see about Mark.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Well, welcome
Thanks,
to
Alan.
Small Originals, my brother.
I love it. That was great. Thanks a million.
Awesome, buddy. So, I'd like to get started. How did the name the Naked Headhunter? Where did that come from?
Yeah, well, look, I had just had an exit from the executive search firm Spengler Fox that I was CEO of, and that was my qualifying business for YPO, Alan. So that was 2019.
Hmm.
And that was YPO actually took me on this voyage, Alan. So I was a hired gun CEO in 2009 when I joined. I think I bored my forum to tears for about 2 years complaining about the business. And they said, Mark, why don't you fucking buy it? So they helped me do a management buyout on the search firm in 2012. And then in 2018, 2019, I had an exit. So that 10 year in YPO, I mean, talk about life changing, Alan. It took me from hired gun to owner to exited entrepreneur. So I'd never bought a business, never sold a business. And I always say, look, YPO didn't make an Irishman more intelligent, but it definitely made me less stupid on those two transactions because I had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely no idea. So hugely grateful to Forum, to Deal Network, just to YPOers around the world who were able to share their experience on doing an MBO and having an exit. Um, so kind of leading, that's a little bit the backstory and just,
That's great
chapeau and
backstory, but you,
huge.
you you just one thing I want to say to everybody listening: new standard, a little less stupid. That's a new.
Yeah, yeah. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. And but I knew, look, Alan, look, we've known each other for a while. My energy, my life is all about, coffees and conversations and connections. So I knew when I went through my, transition, it was it was different, but it was strange. I mean, it was, loneliness.
Mm,
Oh my God, like, hey, I don't need to be on this conference call at 8 in the morning. I'm not even invited to this like meeting anymore. I'm not wanted. Like, I get paid, but it's strange. So I discovered kind of the currency of time. I would take my wife and kids we were living in London at the time, go to Hyde Park, go to lunch, and like, oh, just like kind of, but you still felt guilty. You still felt strange.
mhm.
But I knew I always wanted to stay a connector. Yeah, that was my kind of life force, my energy. So I'd read the book, The Naked Leader.
Right.
I'd always felt, look, executive search is such a BS. Like, it's like, okay, old boys network and big fees, not a high success rate. And I felt, fuck it. Like, look, you can really make this such a transparent, like, not
Mhm.
only a client driven, but a very candidate friendly experience. So that was a little bit what I wanted to create. So client first, candidate first experience, totally transparent on like fee structure, deliverables, timings. But really focus instead of corporate search work, which I'd done for kind of 20 years, to really focus on owner, founder, and family business. So I just felt, look, no matter how high you place somebody in a $50 billion organization or a $10 billion organization, doesn't, they can move the needle a little bit.
Yeah.
But in an owner founder business, if you're going in and doing a CEO succession search from somebody who's done a 0 to 25 million,
Yeah.
holy crap, like that business will like succeed or fail with that appointment. Same thing, a family business going G2 to G3, bringing in an external CEO or COO, that person is, a huge impact on the business. So I found those spaces of, blood, sweat, and tears searches, where your reputation's on the line every time because you're putting in people who will make or break, business growth, the
Mm.
impact on the owners, the impact on the team that's there. And that's just what I ended up loving doing. Yeah. So that was a little bit the Naked Leader was the inspiration to
The
it, just to
inspiration
like
for so
deconstruct, what I felt was a very stuffy old boys kind of world. Yeah.
So you're stripping away the veneer from an industry, and if tell me if this is right, but you probably get more out of the work with the founder, owner, operators than you did in the corporate world. Is it an
Yeah.
impact, a purpose-driven thing as well for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, look, being a member in YPO, I'm privileged. I get to spend a lot of time with entrepreneurs and family businesses. And, through hearing their stories, of succession, of, when is the right time to hand it over to somebody else?
Mhm.
Is it too late? Is it too soon? And I felt, wow, like if you really had their best interest at heart, you could really help them navigate that transition, that it's not going to be too soon, it's not going to be too late. Look, now is the right time to focus on it. And maybe we don't pull the trigger on it, but you could at least get a view on what the talent landscape looks like if you were going to pull somebody in. And maybe it's not even exec level, maybe it's building a board to kind of support, and brainstorm in terms of how you want to drive your strategy. But it was that, vulnerability, authenticity of being a leader where you're like, I know what I know, but I also know what I don't know. And they're the blind spots, the Johari window. That's what I need to cover. And that could be by bringing in a full-time exec, maybe a CFO or COO, or like I said, adding in one or two board advisors or building a board for the first time. Um, but that was really the impact those people bring. It's not about the money. It's really about impact. It is about performance,
So, yeah.
but it can be a lot of fun, and it can really change the kind of isolation and loneliness we feel that, oh, we have to have all the answers as the CEO of the business. We don't, you
Yeah.
know, we have to have
I agree.
certain talents, but you can surround yourself and cover the gaps smartly.
Interesting. One of the things you say is relationships are life, right? So
Yeah,
your net worth equals your net worth.
yeah,
But how do you get people? You're a connector, and I see you doing it all the time with no expectation of benefit. You just want to help people do
yeah,
that. But a lot of people in our world are transactional. I give
yeah,
you, I'm expecting quid pro quo. How do
yeah.
you advise people to get to be like you, that like to connect people for the right reasons?
I think Look, there's two answers to that question. And one, like I love the phrase like "don't do shit for free." Like I think that is important. I think, look, on the exit story, discovering the currency of time, I've seen a lot of people go down a route of having a 25-year, 30-year corporate career. You're trying to step onto boards, and you're just focusing on the startup space, and you're doing everything for free or for a small bit of equity or whatever. And it's like, I have no more time anymore. Like, it's just where did it go? I'm not getting paid. This is actually like, I feel like I'm giving, 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 but I'm not getting. And I think people need to be very honest with themselves on, look, you know, figure out what you need to survive in the lifestyle that you enjoy and have a few kind of side bets on, look, you can play some equity games, you can support not-for-profits, you can do NGOs, you can do startups. But if that's 100% of your portfolio, there's not going to be a lot of cash coming in. So, try to find balance or try to find what works for you so you can hit your number. Yeah. Um, I think having said that, there is a lot of kind of pay it forward. You and I kind of would share that. Look, a lot of times you are like helping people out because you can, because it's easy, because, oh, you just got to talk to this person or here you go. I'm not doing a search there, Alan. I'm not, investing time, resources, whatever. So I'm always happy to put people together. Yeah, that's kind of what makes me happy and excited. And at the same time, that's your brand. I mean, you're building a brand around, look, hey, I help you out here. You know, I'm connecting you to good people. And that'll throw back, look, if you needed a CFO, then it's like, well, give Mark a call and see what he can do. And then, look, full team engaged and we do a proper search process. Yeah. So,
What's interesting is you started a CEO coffee group, a WhatsApp group, which has now exploded now to a second group. What's interesting about that is what I marvel at is how people are celebrating you on that
yeah.
app all the time, right?
Yeah.
We always say in personal branding, don't celebrate yourself, don't pound your own
Yeah.
chest. Other
Oh,
people will
yeah.
do it for you if you do the right things.
Yeah. It was
And
probably the smartest thing, probably the smartest thing I did, Alan. But the origin story of that was So CEO Coffee, yeah, like you said, we now hit, 700 kind of, I mean, members. Look, it's curated. I know everybody, you know a lot of people. It's probably 50% YPO, 50% non-YPO, but it is highly curated. It is invite only. But it's my fear there was, oh shit, I forgot to connect Alan to Gisbert. I forgot to connect Alan to Mike. Like that annoys me. Like I would forget to make a connection. And I felt here I can, be the glue,
Yeah.
put everybody together, but in many contexts they can find each other. And that was the purpose of that. Hey, let's allow like almost, my network is not, hey, this, it, here it is. Like you
Okay.
want to jump in, I trust you. You're not going to like solicit, you're not going to be a pain in the ass. You're going to really add value and impact other great people I know. So that was the whole purpose of that. A real um, that people can go, oh, Mark, that was great. Like side conversation with Jules or whatever. It's like, that's amazing. That's what it's for. Like that people can find each other, help each other. And yeah, that I don't need to feel the stress of, I never put Alan together with this
You
person,
know what's interesting about you to think about that you worry about the connection pieces that aren't necessarily going to be, result
Yeah,
in
yeah,
business for you. And that tells us a lot about you. And that's kind of when you think about your personal brand, all we have is a reputation.
yeah,
That's all we have in our world, right? So let me think about this for a moment. You also have built a virtual advisory board and MyFractional CEO. Tell me
yeah.
where they came from, what you're trying to do with that in addition to the work you do in search.
So, like virtual advisory board was a COVID brainchild, Alan. That was, you know, I think probably like 27th of March, 2020,
Wow.
after two bottles of Rioja, just tapping into like friends, Zoom, hey everybody, how's it going? Da, 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 da. And and a lot of my network were then, hey, look, I need advice on how to, we see an opportunity here to pivot or enter a new market, or we've got a big problem with our supply chain, obviously, or do you know anybody who can help with this? So it was almost like a, uh, you know, initially, Alan, it was a community where like CEOs could kind of meet and chat, and we would do a weekly call,
Right.
share like, hey, what's going on in Italy versus in Spain versus in US versus Mexico. Um, but it was really wrapped around the common interest there was everybody was curious about either stepping onto boards
Mm.
or building a board. Yeah. Most were about, look, I'm interested now. Maybe my executive career is over. I'm thinking about portfolio, second career, what's next. So it invited like 10 people, and then that was like 20, and then it hit like 70 people. And I was like, holy shit, like this is probably, if you could like charge something like fair and transparent for this, you could, reinvest it back in, and you could really put some structure and some value in there rather than just like the conversation. So over 5 years, I mean, that's now grown to it's 1,200 members globally, 72 countries. The virtual is still there, but I think last year we did 186 in person, almost one every 2 days, Alan, somewhere. And my calendar will show, hey, there's a VAB drinks in Seoul tonight. There's VAB like get together in Santiago de Chile. There's the fourth event in Dubai. Like there's stuff going on in Auckland. I mean, it's insane how the the whole thought process around second career is such a hot topic. And I think that's, everything we look at, all the data points we read on, once have your, 20, 25, 30-year career, you're like, okay, well, look, maybe now I can kind of add value on advisory board. I'm board curious, I'm board learn. I want to figure out, look, what's out there. Can I help other CEOs? What are my unique leadership experiences? And then it was me going through, look, finding David, who's my co-founder, the CEO, Ivan, another YPOer, is our chairman. Most of the initial members were YPOers as well, because that was such a common kind of theme that they were all of that profile
Mhm.
looking at, look, what next? So, VAB's been I had the board meeting this morning actually for VAB. So look, hugely exciting space. We're looking to take that now up to 10,000 members, over the next 3 years. So that'll go through a massive, I mean, it'll become, you know, now it's about trying to balance the human touch, which is what I love, and how you can marry that with technology, AI to drive a better kind of value for the members. Yeah.
That's interesting. So there's a lot of similarities in terms of even the CEO coffee. It's highly curated, but people are taking it upon themselves to connect because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this community. You built
Yeah,
a
yeah,
virtual advisory board, and a lot of them are the same people, right? Through virtual
yeah, yeah,
advisory,
yeah,
but you're building a community of people that are want to connect with each other.
yeah,
So
yeah,
back to your premise of connecting people, I mean, that becomes so valuable for you to look at and say, I'm building 10,000, 15, 20,000 connections across the world that are all hanging. You're building a little YPO,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's
I mean,
phenomenal.
it's in that sense of community, like absolutely, YPO's been like unbelievably inspirational for me. And this was that, like, if YPO was only focused on like second career, then yeah, look,
Yeah.
shared experience, learning, trust. I mean, that's underpins the whole thing. So absolutely. But I mean, even I was walking on the beach in the Scottish Highlands yesterday. We're organizing flights for my wife and my son to Switzerland. And we're like, sorting out the tickets. And we're like, oh, how do we get from there to there? And we're like, oh, yeah, we should try to get a taxi driver because it'll be like easier with the baggage and the dog and whatever. Pop it on the YPO chat. Within like 2 minutes, I've got like, I mean, not even 2 minutes out. It just shows like, and then like problem solved before I've even got off the beach. It's like just incredible how people, I've always felt, look, people love to recommend bars, restaurants, cafes, but ultimately people love to recommend good people. And if people can help, if you can give them a safe place or platform to do that in, people genuinely like to help and recommend, solutions when they can, So that was a little bit always kind of a constant inspiration. And but I think that the key bit, and when I even mentioned there the marrying of like AI technology, for me it is still with the human interaction because that's I would prefer like slower uh growth, but you're keeping it really like personal. You got a team of people, and we've got these member experience managers all over the world who are there to make sure that each member kind of not only is onboarded, but has some person, a particular person to go to talk about, okay, how I missed this call, or how do I figure that out, or how can I connect with these people? This is what I'm interested in. So you have that like constant kind of mini connectors, yeah. And look, AI will help a lot in terms of that vectoring and matchmaking and, that almost Tinder type, how you can put people together and how they can find each other. But
Swipe right when I see your pictures at it. You're gonna maybe
yeah.
that'll be Irishman. No, I don't want an
Yeah.
Irishman.
Swipe left, swipe left. Yeah, exactly.
Tell
Actually, I'm
me
not even
about
sure which way you swipe, but that was what I
well,
thought. Yeah.
well, yeah, we no, we can't. Maybe swipe up and swipe down.
Maybe, yeah, there we go. There we go.
Tell me about MyFractional CEO and how that is it some of the same people that are in virtual advisory board? Tell me uh,
Yeah, I think
about that.
that the difference there, so my fractional, um, it was myself and like five other YPOers. Um, we just noticed there was a huge kind of shift in um I mean, interim has been around for a while, fractional has been around for a while, but more in functionals like in finance or operations or supply chain. Look, I need somebody in tomorrow to help me figure this out, or we're about to buy this business, or we're going through a fundraise. I need somebody experienced in it. It was less common in the CEO role, but we'd noticed, look, US tends to lead on these things. There were growing requests coming in for, hey, I've got this business. We've got an issue with our CEO, performance or health, whatever the challenge was. I need somebody to come in who I can trust to help fix this. I can't afford, because we're like earlier stage. I can't afford a, 350 to 500K resource to come in. but I could probably afford 100K and that person could kind of, manage their time. So we kind of said, well, okay, so you could kind of fractional the role. Spoke to a few people. Many YPOers are already active. One YPOer, Peter Einstein, is like three times, it sits in three CEO roles concurrently. He's like super energetic, super active, like fractional CEO. Um, and for the teams he works with, they're like, hey, he's the boss. Like he's there all the time, but he's just got to compartmentalize his time. So we thought, you know what? For a lot of people, um, boards are fun. Um, but it really is advisory. I mean, you're not executional.
Mhm.
You're brainstorming, you're sharing experience, you're guiding, advising. But you're not doing it. And we had a guy last year who joined us. We put him on two boards, and he'd been a full-time CEO in the fashion luxury space for like 30 years. And he was like, after a year of just doing boards, he's like, Mark, man, I miss the cut and thrust of the
The
being
action.
the executor. I miss being the CEO. I miss that like
Yeah.
cut and thrust. I miss that pace. I miss that responsibility, that accountability. We're like, you know what? That's like super cool. Like, there's great feedback. And he's like, look, I love the board stuff. I love like advising. I love the strategic stuff, but I'm not the one doing it.
Mm.
And I want to kind of go back to that. I want to keep the boards you put me on. That's great. Thanks a lot. But hey, can you help me find something that doesn't take up all my time, but I could kind of really add value in a C? So like, hey, well, the fractional stuff could kind of work. So we find a lot, it's very often the same profile, Alan, but there are some people who are, look, I don't want ever to do another CEO role. I don't ever want to be an exec. I'm done. I'm happy just doing the board stuff, being on the golf course, spending time with my like wife and kids or grandkids or husband and grandkids, whatever. Others like love that energy, that executional responsibility. So for them, their portfolio will be, one or two fractional roles plus one or two board advisory roles. So it's kind of personality, not necessarily life stage driven. I haven't noticed any demographic shift in it. It is just, your energy and your priorities. And some people just enjoy that more than others. So it's a very similar type of person. In some cases, it can be the same person, but it can also be two very different people, depending on their kind of what they enjoy doing the most.
What I love is I'm thinking strategically about how you've built out your, and I hate to use the word empire, but let's think
Yeah,
about it in terms of your empire. Your
yeah.
Irish.
Well, look, I've got the Luke Skywalker name, so we've got the
That's
Star
right.
Wars theme there.
You're
So
right
that's
there.
that works very well. Yeah,
It's so funny. I was telling my video guy that I'm doing it with Mark Hamill, and he went,
yeah,
"The actor?"
yeah, yeah.
Well,
I had to
yes.
go.
Yeah.
I had to go and pick up a few packages in London this morning and deal with the disappointment of oh
Pick him
okay
up with a sword, right?
yeah yeah yeah
But as I think through the work you've done, you've got your search, you've got virtual advisor, you've got fractional, you've got CEO Coffee as a connector. All of these people are an ecosystem at the
yeah
end of the day, right? And it's an ecosystem of talented human beings. Now, many of those folks, I assume, have been, when they first talk to you, are in a career transition of some type.
yeah
What are the biggest challenges you're seeing with those CEOs when you get to talk to them?
yeah.
What's going on in their heads when you've now got them?
Well, so look, the other business we have with Alice and Bill, who are also Bill's YPO. Alice, very well known to YPO community on the leadership transition side, the executive kind of transition side. So when you're bouncing from like one executive role and wanting to find another full-time exec role, the biggest factor you probably find, Alan, in all cases is the loneliness. Like
Yeah,
I haven't looked for a job in 25 years.
yeah,
30, I haven't looked for a job in 35 years. I don't know where to start, Mark. I mean, this is kind of particularly the hired guns, Alan. A hired gun coming out of it's been promotion, promotion, promotion for 30 years.
yeah,
Suddenly it's like, thanks a lot, you're out of here. It's like, what? Like, I don't even know where to start.
yeah,
We've had a few cases recently where you're talking to incredibly senior people who you'll do like a count. You go, you probably hired like, 1,000 people like in your career. That means you probably interviewed 5,000 people over your career. You've only been interviewed twice.
that's true.
and you go, holy crap. Like, so if I'm actually going to interview for a job, like I'm great at I'm experienced at interviewing, but I'm not a great, people are their own worst story. I'm not good at telling my story. I'm not good at selling myself. I'm good at doing it in my P&G, Unilever, Morgan Stanley, my career. I know that. I've done that for 30 years. Outside of that, I actually don't know. My network is quite narrow. Um, I understand and have different experiences with headhunters. I know they don't work for me, they're working for their client, but how do I, manage those relationships? How do I not appear like a stalker to a search firm? Why don't they get back to me? All these questions you go through for the first time. So I think it's kind of uncertainty, loneliness, lack of know-how. Um, that's new. It's new for this particular person. So helping them navigate that and saying, look, hey, uh, be prepared for rejection. Some people won't call you back. Other people will not respond to your email. It statistically, it'll happen in, 40% of the cases. Don't worry about it. Just like be prepared. Um, it's 80% likely your network or your network's network will be the next source of your next role, whether that's board or executive, because that's what the statistics show. It's 20% likely through a headhunter or search firm. So, okay, how do I manage the networking versus the maintaining or building out search firm relationships?
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's the most fun I get from it, Alan, is helping people kind of, almost like a take down, look behind the curtain. Oh, how do I do it? How do I find that next challenge? If you're looking to go from, you've ran $1 billion P&L in a large corporate and you're looking to step into, I would love to be a CEO of a private equity portfolio company about 250 million, but I know two private equity guys. Well, okay, so that's great. Start with those two and let's try to find eight more. And then we'll try to find another eight more who
Mm.
focus on, consumer goods, mid cap in your geography. Da, da, da. So you just like build it out because these people will love to hear from you. And very often it's not the advertised job market. I mean, so many people will say, "Oh, I've got this incredible career. I'm applying on LinkedIn, and nobody, LinkedIn's a phenomenal tool. It's great for networking. It's great for like checking out career path. It's phenomenal. I love it. But if you're a senior exec in a career transition, you shouldn't be responding to like job board ads. That's not how those roles get hired. You got to go and network with CEOs, board members, have those conversations, tell your story. And like I said, a lot of people, Alan, are not great at telling their stories. So it's like, how do you work on in a nice, authentic way your elevator pitch or your unique leadership experiences, and you leave that memorable, so people go, hey, yeah, I know what Alan does. He's like incredible. So I'm having a coffee next week. And I go, oh my God, I got to connect you to Alan. You need to have a chat with Alan. He's the right person you need to talk to right now. That is your 80%. That is the most likely source of where those next roles will come from.
What's interesting in the world that we are, as you know, the personal branding world, we when we get those people, their confidence is shattered
Yeah. Yep.
because of what
Yep.
they've experienced, and their network is so narrow, to your
Yep.
point, and no one calls them back anymore because they don't
Yep.
have the seat, right?
Yep.
And so what I find interesting is, and because they're in corporate, the personal branding thing is just not a conversation.
Yep. Yep.
Just so when you advise them today, in terms of a career path, let's say you get them when they're in their mid 40s, you know they're going to work another 20 years. Are you telling them about you just make sure you're building your relationship when you don't need
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Tell me
Totally.
about,
I mean, that's the
tell me
biggest
about
bit of feedback from anybody who has gone through the transition and found something else. It's like, I'm never going to get myself as lonely as I was back in that role.
yeah,
That's the lesson. So I think that's the single kind of biggest learn. You just got to keep, and it's not networking like in a cheeky secondhand car salesman. It's just being out there, being open, because it's going to help your board career as well. So if you found that next, full-time gig, you're super focused on that. You're already thinking about, look, next 5 years, want to have two paid for board roles,
yeah.
this type of business, this type of geography. This is how I can help. Well, you got to start networking in that space then. And the nice thing about the senior hires that we're talking about, Alan, is look, I always encourage them to phrase it when you're in transition that you're open for both executive and non-executive opportunities. It's the same decision makers will, appoint you as a board member and as a CEO. I mean, it's the same like board. So, um, the difference being there's only ever one CEO, but there could be five board members. So you'll have a higher likelihood of picking up a board role. We had two YPOers last year, Alan, who we worked with, who stepped onto advisory boards, and within 6 months, there were issues with the CEOs in those businesses. The first place the board turns to is, oh, who the hell? Oh, hey, you're here. Do you want to step into the role?
Yeah,
So you can go board to exec and then pop back out again. So I think it's not going into those conversations or that networking thinking, look, I'm only interested in a CEO role. It's like I'm open for kind of CEO, but also or exec and non-exec, and you'll find you'll have many, many more conversations. And again, I think your storytelling and look, it's like a bit of a market fitness
it is.
program. I mean, like you said on the personal branding stuff, look, it takes time. I mean, you got to get into the rhythm of it. Some people are, like I said, awful at storytelling, and they've got incredible careers. They just, oh my God, so boring. I don't remember what you've done. You lost me. How
Well,
you can kind of bring that back down into core, and that's what people will remember.
what's interesting is the folks that I've talked to through the CEO coffee group, there's some rock stars
Yeah.
that just, but the problem is they're rock stars, but nobody knows who they are, rock stars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right. And so the challenge, if I were to go back and start my career again, although through YPO, we're fortunate we have a built-in tribe there.
yeah,
Even outside of that, if you're intentional about that over time, you're never out of a job.
yeah, yeah,
Because as soon as someone sees you're out of a job, they're plucking you, not from within the corporation, from corporation to corporation.
yeah.
But it's just not something that we've ever taught. Is
No, no, and look, you're obviously not encouraged while you're in your role, being paid like a fat check every month to go and start having conversations outside. So it's not built into kind of DNA, or you're not encouraged to do it, but you really should. And particularly like when you go into that transition, every 90% of people feel ill-equipped that they have not been networking because you're in a role, you're head down, 100% blinkered, and you're like owning and driving that business. You're not thinking about anything else. So it's when the shock hits, it's like, oh crap, like I'm exposed, I'm caught out there. How do I kind of get into those conversations? And you can do it. I mean, it's just about being a bit methodical, a bit focused, putting some research in. There's nothing that you can't do by yourself, but it's nice to have a few people to kind of show you a path or work on your personal branding because, like I said, that storytelling that's what people will remember. The three things that you do incredibly well that someone's helped you kind of be concise about. Can't be 10 things. People won't remember 10 things. They'll remember three. So focus on like keeping it like sharp. And then that butterfly effect of what you're great at will kind of permeate through other networks. And, like I said, it's kind of, trying to target if you're looking for that next CEO challenge, over 3 months, try to have 75 conversations with people who are influencers or decision makers in the board space, in the geographies, in the verticals, or in tangential areas that you're involved in. three
right.
months, 75 conversations. If they're good conversation, there'll be good, bad conversations in that. And you've asked everybody that you've got off the phone with, hey, is there one more person that you could connect me with? That then 75 becomes 150. And then you're like, wow, your networking is now at a whole new level. You're growing it. It's through trusted source. It's through introduction. It's through recommendation. Then you're building kind of choice. Then you start getting callbacks and you start getting like involved in processes. You're building your own kind of CEO coffee,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
it.
what's interesting is, as we know, the power of a referral is unmatched, and that's where a lot of the gigs come from.
Yeah.
You think about the work that you do, the coaching part of what you do. Of course, they can all do it on their own. Everybody can do, even in my
Yeah.
world, they can do it
Yeah.
all on their own. But you can't see the label from inside the jar.
Yeah.
So when you're working with these people, you're exposing them. I remember one of our clients told us this. He says, "I thank you for changing my life because I now see myself the way you do."
That's so cool.
And,
That's
and
so
that-
that's priceless. Wow.
that's priceless, right?
Yeah.
Because you've never looked at yourself either
Yeah.
to say as an asset, as a
Yeah.
commodity. You never looked at yourself at
Yeah.
that way. So people like yourself and the ecosystem that you have allows them more choice and more opportunity they've never had before, which I
Yeah.
think is brilliant. So from a
Yeah.
career point of view, you guys should talk to Mark. So that's really good.
Yeah.
One last question, my friend, just on the leadership front. It's a pretty weird time out there.
Yeah.
Lots of crap going on.
Yeah.
What are you seeing from a leadership point of view, macro, that some of the trends that are affecting the work that you do and the CEOs that you work with?
I think, look, a lot on the learning side coming down to AI, like a huge amount at kind of all levels in organization. But I think a lot of kind of quick learning or hunger to learn from the CEO, board member is hugely relevant right now, and it's so fast, it's so impactful. I mean, you know, I'm probably like AI curious.
Yeah.
I'm early AI learn, but I'm asking the question every day to other people what they're doing, and I'm like, holy shit, that's incredible! Your agent can do that. That's unbelievable. Like, I had no idea. How do you set that up? How do you so like I'm trying to learn how others are exploring it and how it's helping them. I still think, and that goes back to the first point, Alan, like it's still the vulnerability and authenticity. Like it's look, we are who we are, and it's even on a transition, you can't go back and wish you had a different 30-year career. Like it doesn't help. Like you've got it. Like you've done it. Like let's focus on what you did and how you impacted and how you grew and the challenges you faced. And we are who we are. And I think it's just being kind of cognizant and comfortable with it are probably that comes across. Like if somebody is, in YPO, we're encouraged to be comfortable being vulnerable. And for some people that, it's a constant kind of learn. It's a constant pushing out your out of your comfort zone. Um, but I love that. I think that's so important for leaders. So I love the curiosity, vulnerability, authenticity. That like I still find people like to work for and with people, that yeah,
But this is what
back to basics.
I think at the end of the day, that no matter what technology we apply to the world, human heart is the only advantage we'll have going forward. Because the
Yeah.
machines are going to be better than us, be smarter than us, they'll know more than us, they
Yeah.
can do things better than us,
Yeah.
but they can't connect the way humans can. So in
Yeah.
real life is really important. Mark,
Yeah.
how can people reach you if they need to connect with you and learn more about you and your services? What's the best way to do that?
So probably like I'm on LinkedIn every day, Alan. So LinkedIn is probably like the easiest way to see a little bit about like who I am and what we do in the different businesses. WhatsApp like all the time. So like just I will always get back to a WhatsApp message. So yeah, just reach out. Email is mark@thenakedheadhunter.com. And my WhatsApp, I don't know if you can post it later on or we can add it in later on. So no problem.
That'd be
Absolutely
great.
fine. Look, and like there's no such thing as an odd question for anybody going through a transition or trying to figure out what next. It's a challenging time. But I absolutely believe, look, there's 10 lonely CEOs out there right now who, every leader in transition could engage with if that's, helping them on an executive basis, helping them as a board member, helping them as a fractional kind of partner.
Yeah.
You have experiences that you probably undervalue and have brought, oh, I just did it. I just got it done. I made it happen. It's like, whoa, 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 that is incredible what you've done. Somebody else is really struggling with that right now. Let's try to get you guys together. So I think it's the belief that there's at least 10 lonely CEOs out there look waiting for your call. You just gotta find a way to connect with them.
You started me thinking about, how often change is a scary thing, but this is creating change and you need to be there when change
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity. Change is
And
also,
look, like the scary bit, Alan, look, if somebody could say on your transition, look, Alan, don't worry, like in 6 months, you're going to land this great role. Da, 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 da. It's like, oh, cool. I'm going to really enjoy this 6 months off.
yeah,
It's not that because you're like, holy shit, like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? But look, the stats are there. Like if you put in the networking, you work on the storytelling, you get out there, like stuff will happen. Like focus on, look, there's no point in if you're misdirecting your focus, if you're really going to impact businesses up to 250 million or 50 million, and you're talking to CEOs of like multi-billion, well, it's like just an odd fit. Like focus, find your match, find where you fit, find where you can add value and focus on that niche. If it's like by sector, by geography, by vertical, by business size, by business transition, you know, understand what you do well and go there. Build your market and your networking around that, and you'll absolutely be fine.
Awesome. What a great way to end our podcast, Marcus. It was such a pleasure to spend some time with you, my brother. So,
Pleasure, Alan.
Hamill, just reach out to Mark on LinkedIn and I'll put all his contact information in the show notes. And we'll launch this on Thursday, my friend. So it'll be out pretty quick.
Amazing.
Thank
Alan,
you for the group.
fabulous to spend some time together.
Love the buddy.
Enjoy the vacation.
Thanks, brother. Be
Cheers,
well.
Alan.
Cheers.